don't trust Derek Carr as a quarterback, especially late in the year. I think he's having a good year. Of course, they're doing well. The defense is playing well. I just don't. I want to see more from them before I back them.
Lorenzo, week 2 is in the books. Crazy week it was. We've got some 2-0 teams that I'm not too sold on just yet, but we've also got some 0-2 teams that I have a little bit of hope for. So I want to break this down with you. I want to start off with let's start in the gutter, the 0-2 teams, specifically the AFC North between Cincy and Baltimore. I want to get your take on Cincy. They are a team that I'm a little less worried for. Baltimore, on the other hand, it's rough. So let's talk about Baltimore here. A close loss to the Chiefs, whatever, you kind of expect it. They're the best team in the NFL. But blowing a third quarter lead to the Raiders is absurd. Max Crosby's playing out of his mind, that's no surprise. But as soon as this team faces another team with a high-end pass rusher, it's over with. They play Dallas in Dallas. Up next, if this team goes 0-3,
yeah.
I'm going to go as far as to say, is Harbaugh's job in jeopardy? If they want to get past the divisional round, I know it's a little bit out there, but are you calling for Harbaugh?
This is so tricky because he's a good coach, obviously. Like he has a track record of
mediocrity.
That's the problem, though. It's like this. It feels to me like this team has hit its ceiling. Like we know they have a 2-time MVP. They have this incredible athlete playing quarterback who can do so many things. They have this incredible running back that they don't really use. But the problem is they just have this culture of not finishing games. And they also have a culture of doing pretty good in the regular season, and then when it comes to the playoffs, they fold. And it's a lot of times it is to the Chiefs, which like, okay, they are the best team. They've been a dynasty. That's fine. But at a certain point, if you want to reach that next level, you need to be the team that beats them. And it's just year after year after year, they just fall apart. And sometimes, actually most times, I would argue, what makes it so frustrating to watch them is that it seems to me like it's their own doing. In the last 4 years, the Ravens have lost 10 games in which they've had a lead of at least a touchdown or more. 10 games. The next closest team has 6 of those losses. And the problem is that those losses sometimes are against bad teams or teams that they should beat. And that's a concern to me because they're not disciplined, they don't finish, and when it gets time to the playoffs, you need to be the team that is better late in the games. You need to be the team that puts teams away. And they're built to do it. They play defense and they have a running game. They just inexplicably.
They got to utilize Derrick Henry more.
They absolutely
I don't understand what's going on.
Derrick Henry. So I'm not calling for John Harbaugh to get fired, but like, I mean, you kind of have to expect that this team maybe this is what they are.
Hit the ceiling? Yeah. All right, other 0-2 team, Cincy. Man, this offense is getting run over. Granted,
Yeah.
Joe Burrow is shouldering the entire offense, in my opinion. You don't have Joe Mixon. Are you sold on Cincy?
You know,
You mentioned they start slow and whatever, but
yeah. I feel much better about them than I do the
do
Ravens.
too.
And the thing is, I think Cincy, they have a track record of actually beating Kansas City. And I know they just lost this last game, but really they were in position to win, and it was a DPI, but there was also maybe a holding call on the Chiefs offensive line that didn't get called. They should have neutralized that DPI.
Surprise.
Yeah. But anyway, the Bengals were in that game, and I think what they need to do is figure out their running game, because when they've lost Joe Mixon and now Zach Moss, it's just, they're not getting enough production there. I would really like to see them sort of lean into that or scheme ways to get more production there. I do think they're all competitive players. They're going to want to win. I feel better about the Bengals. This is another reason. So their upcoming schedule, this is what the Ravens have. They have the Cowboys, the Bills, the Bengals, the Commanders.
yikes.
The Bengals have the Commanders, the Panthers, the Ravens, and then the Giants.
Exactly. They got time to recover or bounce back, rest up a little bit. All right, so time to move on to the better side of the ball, the 2-0 team, specifically the NFC South Bucks Saints. I know you are not sold on the Saints. America, however, sold on the Saints. Alvin Kamara, Derek Carr have been playing crazy. Dennis Allen's defense is getting the job done. They are the best scoring offense in the NFL. Now that we're in week 2, the Panthers' win wasn't impressive, but a win over Dallas was.
Yeah, it's impressive, but like.
You're not sold on the Saints, are you?
I just want to see a lot more. I mean, so here's the thing with Alvin Kamara, great game, but he was also playing Mike Zimmer, and he just shreds Mike Zimmer's defenses. So You remember that game? I think it was 2012. It was a couple years ago.
A couple years ago,
yeah.
2012.
No, maybe it was I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, quite a few years ago.
Yeah. Anyway, he scored 6 touchdowns against the Vikings, the team that was, who at the time Mike Zimmer was their head coach. So Mike Zimmer's the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys now. He scores 4 touchdowns in the first 3 quarters. So that meant that in his last 7 quarters up to that point, not counting the 4th when it was blowout, whatever, in those 7 quarters against Mike Zimmer's defense, he had scored 10 touchdowns. That's absurd. It's wild. Yeah, I know. Anyway, the Cowboys, they have bad games sometimes. We know that they can fall apart. I think maybe Dallas came in a little overconfident. They had that big win against the Browns week 1. So the Saints, I just want to see more from them. That said, they are playing really well. I get it, but.
So you take the Bucks over them? You're just off the NFC South.
I really
is
am
what
off the NFC.
You're off
Honestly,
the NFC South.
I would take the Falcons over both of those.
What?
I would, because I think the Falcons, they have a lot to clean up. They definitely do. But I just think, as far as the rosters go, I think they have more talent. I think as long as Kirk settles down and plays loose and isn't overthinking things, he's in rhythm. We saw that in the 2-minute drill Monday night. When he didn't have time to think or process, he was just playing loose and throwing the ball and getting it all over the field. Granted, you could maybe criticize Vic Fangio for his defensive scheme there, but I just think they have a lot of weapons. Bijan Robinson looks like he's about to take off. They need to find ways to get him the ball. The Saints,
they weren't on my radar. Now they are a little bit on my radar.
I think a lot of it is I don't trust Derek Carr as a quarterback, especially late in the year. I think he's having a good year. Of course, they're doing well. The defense is playing well. I just don't. I want to see more from them before I back them. And the Bucks, I don't know. I just frankly, like, either way, I'm not high on any of those NFC South teams. I have the Lions. I have the 49ers.
You
the
got
Packers.
Green Bay.
I have those teams
I do like the Packers.
over all those NFC South teams.
But speaking of the NFC North, you mentioned the Packers.
Yeah.
I do love the Packers. However, we got to talk about the Vikings, man.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell has got Sam Darnold playing at a level he's never played at before. Obviously, Justin Jefferson showing off here, but I want to say, I am not sold on Sam Darnold. Granted, the poor guys played for the Jets and the Panthers, and they beat a 49ers team that's kind of struggling right now in the Giants. What does that really say? But I will say Brian Flores' defense, holding the 49ers to 7 points in 3 quarters is really big.
Yeah.
Their offense looks like it's meshing well. I am sold on the Vikings, but like you mentioned, I'm just as sold on the Packers as I am, or the 1-1 Packers as I am the 2-0 Vikings.
The Vikings are really interesting.
You're not in on the Vikings.
I mean, they're playing really well. That you cannot dismiss them beating the 49ers. Whatever happens with the Vikings, I think they're in a much better spot than most of us thought coming into the season. We've got Sam Darnold. I'm with you. Maybe he's not like, we've seen him, but he's playing with like incredible swagger. I don't know if you saw.
A lot of confidence.
Well, there's the Vikings social media people posted like the post-game locker room, and he was like going off on Kyle Shanahan, whom he played for the year before, saying like he shouldn't have cut me. That's like nice confidence and swagger coming from Sam Darnold.
It is a little bit of a boost.
He's doing this without Jordan Addison and without T.J. Hawkinson, both of whom should come back relatively soon. Early in the season, we see a lot of teams kind of figuring out their identities, even good teams figuring out their identities. But I think late in the year, especially as some teams suffer with injuries and you need backup players to sort of step up, I think that's when roster construction and the quality of the players on the teams really matter. And the Vikings have a really nice team, but I still question Sam Darnold as a sort of game-changing quarterback in December when you need to come back from maybe 7 points or 10 points down to win a game to get into the playoffs, something like that.
Hey sports fans, if you want to see more conversations with athletes and stars, check out these videos right here and be sure to subscribe for more from USA Today Sports.